Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today you've brought us The Complete Book of Shaolin
Mm,
by Wong Kiew Kit. And when you first think Shaolin, you probably think, amazing fight scenes.
right, the high kicks and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this book, it really surprised me. It goes way broader. You were saying you wanted to get a good grasp of Shaolin, like quickly but properly.
Yeah, a thorough but efficient look. And this book seems perfect for that. It's not just a martial arts manual, is it?
Not at all. It presents this whole system. The philosophy, the history, health benefits, and yeah, the fighting stuff too.
It feels like a shortcut to understanding a really deep tradition.
Totally. So our mission today is to pull out the really compelling stuff for you. Get into that surprising depth, the different facets of Shaolin.
So by the end, you feel like you've got a solid handle on it, maybe even a bit inspired.
Hopefully. So where do we start? The monastery itself seems like the obvious place, right?
Yeah.
The source.
Definitely. And the book kicks off with this really almost mythical line. In heaven above, there is Shaolin Monastery. On earth below, there is Shaolin Monastery.
Wow, yeah. That sets a certain tone, doesn't it? Like it's special, almost divine.
It really does. And yeah, there are tons of legends, but the book also gives us the history.
Uh-huh. It mentions actual records, Northern Wei Dynasty, like 6th century.
That's right. Emperor Shao Wen supporting Batuo to spread Buddhism there. So grounded in reality, too.
And its importance. The book calls it the foremost monastery beneath heaven.
Which sounds grand, but given its size and historical role, it kind of fits, you know?
Yeah, it seems justified. So the book takes us inside, walks us through some key halls.
It does. Let's start with the grand entrance. Apparently, it's got calligraphy by Emperor Kangxi.
Yeah, Emperor King Shi. And it means monastery in the forest of the Shaoxi Mountain. Nice imagery. Connects it to nature and power right away.
Sets the scene perfectly. Then you've got the forest of stone tablets.
Oh, right. The book called that a treasure trove of calligraphy.
Imagine that. Centuries of history carved in stone. Just walking through there.
Incredible. The weight of it all. Okay, then the main hall. Mahavira Hall.
Yep. Statues, frescoes. Though the book mentions it got damaged in a fire back in 1928.
Right, a reminder that these places aren't, like, immune to history. They endure.
Exactly. And the scripture hall. Sounds intriguing, doesn't it?
Yeah, makes you wonder about lost texts, martial arts secrets, maybe.
The book hints at that. What knowledge might have been lost.
It makes you think. Then the abbot's chamber. For meditation.
Historically, yeah. You can almost feel the stillness, the focus that must have been there.
And the Hall of Thousand Buddhas. That's the one with the rock with Bodhidharma's shadow.
That's the one. Such a striking legend.
Right.
Bodhidharma meditating for 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
Until his image gets imprinted on the rock.
Yeah. It's this powerful symbol of like total dedication. A prince becoming a Buddha just through meditation. It's quite something.
It really is. Okay, what else? Hall of Lohans.
Uh-huh. Artwork, but also foot impressions from monks training.
Footprints. Wow, that shows serious dedication.
The book emphasizes that diligent training leaving its mark. It's a real, tangible link to the past practitioners, a kind of inspiration.
I can see that, feeling that connection. And lastly, the White Robe Hall.
Depicting mercy and Shaolin Kung Fu together, that blend again.
So it's clear the monastery wasn't just some quiet retreat. It faced destruction, got
It
rebuilt.
shows incredible resilience. And it wasn't just one type of monk, right? There were administrators, researchers, martial artists.
Right, a whole community. And its influence went beyond the walls. Disciples involved in historical events.
It was a real hub, a crucible, really, for developing what the book calls the 3 living treasures of Shaolin.
Okay, the 3 treasures. Let's get into those. First up is Qigong.
Right. The book focuses on its health benefits, vitality, preventing disease, even mental freshness and inner peace.
And it mentions you can get benefits even with short, consistent practice, like 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's what it suggests.
Yeah.
Which is encouraging, right? It's presented as quite holistic, not just physical exercise.
Cleansing meridians, harmonizing yin-yang.
Right.
Those are concepts from traditional Chinese medicine, yeah.
Exactly. Qigong is about working with that internal energy system for overall well-being.
Okay, second treasure. Kung Fu. Obviously self-defense, but the book stresses other qualities too.
Yeah, this is key. Perseverance, tolerance, courage, discipline, making quick, sound decisions, skills for life, really.
Not just for fighting. It even calls it the most beautiful martial art.
Which is quite a statement. Suggests it refines the character as much as the body.
And the third treasure, meditation.
Aimed at spiritual fulfillment, enlightenment. But the book says it's about personal experience. inner peace transcends specific religion.
Makes it sound very accessible regardless of your background. Focus on the internal.
Exactly. Now, the really interesting part is how these three connect. Kung Fu, Qigong, meditation, they're interrelated.
Ah, right. Bodhidharma again. 527 CE.
Yep, the story goes he introduced these because the monks were, well, a bit lethargic from all the sitting.
Makes sense. Too much meditation, not enough movement.
So it was mind and body from the start. The physical exercises, like the 18 low-hand hands, grew into Kung Fu.
And the internal exercises became Qigong.
That's the idea. They developed together to balance the monks' well-being.
And the book says while you can practice them separately.
Understanding how they link up gives you a huge advantage. They enhance each other.
A synergistic effect. The whole is greater than the parts.
Precisely. And this holistic view carries right into the discussion on movements for health, vitality, longevity.
Yeah, Shaolin sees health as interconnected physical, mental, spiritual, more than just not being sick.
It's proactive wellness. And Qigong is key here, cleansing meridians, balancing yin-yang, boosting vitality.
And the book claims noticeable benefits from just like 15 minutes a day. That's pretty efficient.
It is motivating. It even names some exercises lifting the sky, 3 levels to the earth, for energy flow, meditative states.
Sounds like something you could actually try, and longevity is a potential result.
That's the suggestion. Extending a healthy lifespan by tackling the roots of aging and disease. Compelling stuff.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift a bit to the philosophy and dimension of Shaolin Kung Fu itself.
Right. And the book really hammers this home. Kung Fu is way more than just fighting.
We touched on that, developing courage, calmness, judgment, mental freshness, things that help in everyday life.
Absolutely. The book even clarifies the word Kung Fu in Chinese. It just means skill from hard work. Any skill.
Oh, interesting. Well, wushu is more the official term for martial arts.
Often, yeah. Especially in formal or competitive contexts. It also mentions Taiji Chuan as a common external martial art for comparison. External focuses more on the physical movements you see.
Gotcha. So to really understand Kung Fu, the book talks about 4 dimensions.
Exactly. First is form. That's the visible stuff, the techniques, the movements, what most people picture.
The choreography, basically.
Kind of. But then second, there's force,
Yeah.
or gong. This is the internal and external power you develop.
And the book says this gong is crucial, but often overlooked.
Yeah. Seriously neglected sometimes. It's like the engine behind the movements. Without the developed force, the form isn't complete.
So just mimicking isn't enough. Okay, 3rd dimension, application.
Using the techniques. In combat, yes, but also how practicing it builds courage, confidence in daily life. Practical relevance.
Makes sense. And the last one, theory.
The principles, the history, the philosophy behind it all, connecting the physical to, like, deeper Eastern wisdom.
And a whole other layer. So the general aims are effective fighting, good health, and personal growth.
That's the summary. But with this strong emphasis on avoiding needless aggression, cultivating compassion.
And health is seen as a significant byproduct, not the primary goal of Kung Fu itself.
That's how the book presents it, yeah.
Yeah.
The focus is more on the fighting skill and personal development, and health naturally follows from that rigorous training.
Huh. Interesting priority.
Okay.
What about form and function in motion?
This part stresses that all Kung Fu patterns, even the ones that look really flowery or graceful.
Have a combative purpose.
Exactly. It's not just dance. Every move has a reason, an application.
And getting it right means proper mechanics, internal force. Needing a good teacher, probably.
The book definitely emphasizes that. You need guidance to grasp those crucial, subtle elements. You can't just copy the shapes.
Right. It mentions different Kung Fu sets. Crossroads at 4 gates. Tiger and crane.
Yeah, varying lengths. And those poetic names often mean something in Chinese, hinting at the strategy or technique.
Like clues hidden in the names. Clever. It singles out crossroads at 4 gates as fundamental.
Very much so. And even at intermediate levels, you're apparently still unpacking the combat uses of seemingly simple moves from that basic set. Shows the depth.
It really does.
Yeah.
And then there's that idea, don't be deceived by slow, graceful motion.
Yeah, like in Taijuan. Slow moves can hide immense internal power. It's not about speed all the time.
Challenges your assumptions about what fighting looks like. So this leads into fighting in beautiful movements.
Right, reinforcing that the beauty is the function. These aren't just exercises, they're effective combat moves.
But the book worries this practical side gets lost in modern teaching. Calls it a pitiful sense of waste.
Strong words, yeah. It suggests a disconnect, maybe a watering down of the tradition's core purpose.
To drive the point home, it tells that legend about the Shaolin grad fighting 108 wooden robots.
Huh. Yeah, a vivid image of practical skill honed through training.
And gives specific examples, right? Like beauty looks at mirror or white crane flaps wings actually being combat techniques.
Exactly. It forces you to see past the poetic name to the underlying function, bridging that aesthetic and practical gap.
And there's an ethical point too. Don't destroy his manhood.
Reflects that principle of using necessary force, not excessive brutality, control, responsibility. Even tough moves like the organ-seeking kick can be modified.
Shows real mastery and discipline. And unlike lots of martial arts today, no belts in traditional Shaolin.
Nope. Skill isn't shown by external symbols. It's about actual ability, internal development, substance over status.
Okay, so how do you get from learning the forms to actually using them? From Kung Fu form to combat application.
This part's crucial. Practicing with a partner, the goal is mutual improvement. Learning combat efficiency together, not beating each other up.
Collaborative learning.
Yeah.
And two ways to approach it.
Yeah. One is, you know a pattern, now figure out how to use it in different situations. The other is, here's a situation which techniques fit.
From pattern to situation and situation back to technique. A two-way street. Makes sense.
And that four-gate set comes up again as the foundation for practicing this.
It seems really central. The book also gives tips for practice. Control, avoid injury, learn from experienced people.
And focus on principles, not just brute force. Using simulated situations is highlighted as really valuable for training.
Safe exploration before the chaos.
Yeah.
Okay, so that leads naturally to the next step. From arranged to free sparring.
Right. And here, practicing variations on set sequences is key. Building that spontaneity, adaptability, reacting without thinking.
It lists factors for combat, understanding patterns, practicing applications, recognizing attacks, linking moves.
Yeah, it's a build-up. Understanding the basics, applying them, seeing what's coming, putting it all together smoothly.
And the developmental stages sound really logical. Start prearranged, then self-chosen sequences.
Then surprise counters, continuation, changing tactics based on the opponent, external changes, then internal changes in approach.
All leading eventually to free sparring, a very structured path.
Definitely. It's not just throwing people into the deep end. And within that, you have the Shaolin principles of attack and defense.
Which sound almost poetic. Evaluate the opponent, exploit weaknesses, stay calm, avoid recklessness.
Distilled wisdom, really. Covers specific counters, too. And stresses speed and attack the three arrivals.
Intention, movement, and aim all landing fast.
Simultaneously, ideally. And defense should always include a counterattack. Be proactive. Timing and spacing are critical.
Sounds intense. Then there's marvelous advice for combat.
More principles. Attack unexpectedly. Use apparent weakness as bait. Keep a clear head. And those three arrivals, again, targeting vital spots, heart, throat, lower abdomen.
Very direct. And it circles back to those developmental stages, showing the path to free sparring again.
It really ties it all together from basic form to structured application practice, all the way to spontaneous, effective sparring, a complete system.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive,
Yeah.
it's clear you were spot on. The Complete Book of Shaolin is way, way more than just kicks and punches.
Absolutely. You've hopefully got a feel now for just how deep Shaolin goes. It's this incredibly holistic system.
We've seen the physical health side with Qigong, the mental discipline and self-defense with Kung Fu, and the spiritual path through meditation.
All tied back to that amazing history and philosophy of the monastery itself.
And some of those details really stick with you, don't they? The poetic founding, the hidden purpose in the movements, that constant focus on internal development.
It offers such a different perspective compared to, maybe more superficial views of martial arts sometimes.
For sure. And the relevance.
Yeah.
These principles of discipline, perseverance, mind-body connection.
Yeah.
They apply everywhere, right?
Totally. Whether it's a tough project at work, seeking focus, or just wanting better well-being, these ideas have legs beyond the training hall.
So it leaves you thinking.
Yeah, maybe a final thought for you to chew on. Given this incredibly rich history, this deep philosophy, how might bringing just a tiny piece of Shaolin into your life, maybe some mindful Qigong movement, or just a few minutes of quiet reflection, how might that subtly shift how you approach challenges or even just enhance your overall sense of well-being? Something to consider.